What's up, everybody? Okay, with mugshot mug. Turn that off. All right. So I will get on here in a minute. So first, I want to thank God for His clarity, um, for this opportunity to speak to people and hopefully reach out to people. Um, this really is focused for the people still in the streets of Albuquerque. I specifically named some people on my YouTube description too. Sorry, guys, but you are on my mind and in my prayers, and I just want to speak this revelation to um, just because it's what's going on. It's real. I have been through this, and I made it out of it. Thanks to God. Um, but I feel like now that I have made my way out of it, um, I sort of have um, the solutions in a sense, the opportunity to encourage and guide. And I pray to God that I need to do that and reach out to people. I know the chances of these people seeing this isn't likely just because other people are hard to keep a cell phone, and the chances that you just go past this or look this up on YouTube is really, really slim. But I'm praying to God that somehow it uh, reaches you guys. So let me get into it real quick. 1 second. I don't know who that is, and I don't know what co-hosting is. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is, guys. Um, I don't know what that means. Sorry. Um, so, so I was thinking on my walk yesterday too, how it just seems like there's this system that's designed just to keep these people, um, chained, and of course um, we can explain that in so many different ways, but that's really the enemy, and he keeps us chained to our sin and our addiction. And it's just almost like this perfect system just to keep um, people from reaching their potential and their purpose. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. And that's something I want to speak about because I was stuck in this sort of like, I don't know, like matrix like system, I understood that I was going through things. I understood God or somebody had their hands in it. You know what I mean? It felt very, um, I don't know, like revelation, like end times. Like I could just tell that there's something going on spiritually. I just didn't understand it at all. Um, through even, I thought maybe it was the drugs or something like that. So I was able to stop doing drugs on my own in the streets. And that didn't change anything. Things were still going on. These weird things were still going on. Um, so now that I look back at it, like it was like a lot of spiritual warfare. There was things that I was learning on the streets. There's a lot of things that I witnessed, I went through, um, and I was to the point where I kept getting arrested. And now I'm seeing other people that I was on the streets with. Um, I'm seeing them. Um, and they're booking too. They're getting arrested, which is of course, I mean nothing out of the ordinary for situations like that. But it's a pattern that I'm seeing. So um, so now that I see that they're to this point, you know, where it's where you can't run any further. You're exhausted, you're tired, you're probably looking for answers. Um, and what this is, and I know it's because God's working on these people and he wants his people back, and this is something I pray really, really hard for and deeply for all the time. And I really am today. I was yesterday. Um, So now that I'm looking back at it and I'm seeing these patterns, um, making sense of it, and it just makes me think that we were all going through some sort of like spiritual training. It's almost like looking at some weird, uh, yearbook or something like that, looking through these booking lists, and I'm seeing all these people that I know from the streets. Um, so, this matrix-like system engineered to trap, mimic identity, and suppress callings. And I'm having dreams about these things too. That's kind of what led me to sort of, this discovery. God um, just makes these connections for us and leads us to these things. So first I had this dream, about this one particular person that I was on the streets with, about him being, locked up into a ship or a container or something like that. And, then my daughter lets me know about this, Facebook link or whatever, where you can see recent bookings. And then so we're just I'm scrolling through it, and, there's all these people and that person that I had a dream about as well. Um, and usually when we have dreams like that, it's for us to pray about these people, and for whatever reason, these people are just on my heart anyways. I feel this connection with them, probably because we've been through these experiences together. I don't know if they realize that or if they feel the same or not, but I know that's just how I am, and that's just how I was designed, and that's my calling, is to intercede and pray for people. Um, so one of the things I was praying for too that came to my mind was Ezekiel 37:1-10, and I believe God is capable of anything. He can move mountains. He's the creator of all things, and he's the creator of all things. He can do whatever he wants. He's capable of whatever he wants. So the valley of dry bones. I'm seeing faces that could still rise. So I pray to God that that He reaches into the hearts of these people and directs them into the right place, and um, like He did with me, into making these changes and reaching their potential and their purpose like they're supposed to. Um, there's Ephesians 6. This was basic training in the unseen spiritual combat um, that was going on, like a warfare school. Matrix-like system is 2 Corinthians 4:4. The God of this age has blinded their minds. Um, escape and discernment. John 8:32. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Seeing through the dreams. Genesis 41. Joseph saw the future through dreams and was positioned to prepare others. So, um, so if I get the opportunity and I have the means to go and sit in these courtrooms with these people, whether they're there or not, I'm going to pray while I'm in there, and I'm going to attend, and maybe seeing my face and seeing my change will encourage them and inspire hope in some sort of way. Because I know the mindset of being out there, and a lot of it's survival, and that's what you're thinking about, and that's what leads us to these drastic things that we do that gets us arrested, or just the matter of circumstances that come because we're on the streets and we need shelter, or we need food, or this or that, or we need to, supply our habit. So, um, so I'm hoping by speaking about this, it's helping educate and inform, um, the process of this and what's going on. Um, so I've walked through this, and this matrix-like system disguised as street life, addiction, mimic ministry, and even false brotherhood. It looked like chaos, but God taught me strategy. So I didn't just survive. I was enrolled in a warfare school that taught me what freedom really costs. Um, so when I see people on the streets now, it's a different perspective because I understand it. It's not like, oh, why would they make those choices, or they choose to do this, or you know, whatever people typically think. It's not that. Like I see um, just circumstances that led up to this. They are going through some things. They're almost like on a mission. I know that sounds crazy, and they might not understand that as that either. But it's something it's like a spiritual awakening and a way for us to grow and understand. Like we have to go through these things in order to get us to the next step. Um, and sometimes that's just what it takes to understand God's mercy, um, His existence, His involvement in our life, and that's how I understand it. And I'm still learning from it. So, um, so, so I'm just kind of having these like realizations as I'm going through these images, these booking sheets, and it just reminds me of Moses and how he led his people out of Egypt, out of slavery. And I really hope I have the ability to do that in some sort of sense, with these people that I'm seeing, because I've been reminded of them. God brings them up to me in my dreams and other symbols and things like that. Um, that puts them on my mind, whether it's to pray for them or I don't know, that led me to looking them up right here. Um, so there's just There's just no way this is just a coincidence, all these things. And there's a reason why we were all in the streets together at the same time. How we all seem to keep running into each other, and there's some of us that were together more than others. Um, this is something that I was hoping the whole time when I was in recovery, that these people were also in recovery, and just maybe another recovery place. But it just sucks to see that they're still in this cycle, and I understand the next steps are really hard, um, but it's something that people are able to get past and they're able to overcome, especially these people that I know. They're really strong people, really intelligent people. So I know if they get into the right recovery place or the right mindset perspective, or just to that point, or enough prayers, that that will lead them to the next step and get them through this. Um, so yeah, so this just reminds me a lot of Moses. Um, there's also Paul in Romans 9:1-3. Paul grieves for his people, longing for their salvation. Um, and then Joel 2:28. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, and old men will dream dreams. So we're in those times right now. Um, I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, and this is something I pray how God reaches out to them too, is through prayers and other ways. In some way, I just knew that these people are around me for a purpose. There's things that I've learned from these people that helps me grow spiritually and personally, um, and you know, and to survive out there too. So, so these were souls I believe God tethered my heart to. Um, when I see their faces, I don't see shame. I see assignment, like Moses. Um, I've returned with freedom on my tongue and fire in my bones. Um, so, wait, yeah. So, you know, of course, those are things we feel when we first, we start going through these, getting arrested and stuff like that, and then we're other people are able to view us publicly on things like Facebook and stuff like that in the state that we're in. And that's, I don't see, I don't see that, I see the potential of these people and them on the other side and making it through this battle, um, and maybe you guys are believers out there, you guys can help pray too for the streets of Albuquerque and those that are out there. Um, it's easy for us to see, have a negative mindset about them. They're just out there doing drugs and stealing and trashing the city or whatever. Not saying that everybody thinks like that, but I know people do things like that. And sometimes all we see is what's in front of our faces. We can't see beyond that. But we need to ask God to have His eyes on these things, because these people are in a battle and what they're going through is real. You know, the struggle of addiction isn't something that's just easy or anybody wants, in their life or chooses. It just is. But there is a way out, you know, and whether it's like through these processes where we keep getting arrested and we finally had it, we're tired and we're done and don't have any other options because we don't know any other options. And sometimes we have sought help, and the help seems scarier than being on the streets, because of bad ministries or bad recovery homes that set a bad tone, and that makes us think that all of them are like that, which is a real shame. And I pray that God exposes those people and shuts them down and gives these people a real opportunity to get this help. And I think everybody should support that too when people do go seek to get help. And the process is scary, and it's hard after being out in the streets and you're having all this freedom and open space and then going back to some sort of confinement or structure or just being reintegrated. It's hard and it's scary. And then also facing all these years that you've lost and things that you've done and criminal charges and just so much, people's judgments and the fact that it's hard to get a job now, and just the recovery part of getting sober and off the streets. It's hard. And then on top of that, a lot of people have past trauma that they have to make it through. And it's not easy doing that in a sober mind now. You have to learn how to do these things and deal with these things and live a whole new life. But the good thing is, I don't know what closest to this guy. Sorry, I don't know what you want. I don't know what that is. I could accept it, but I don't know what that means. So I apologize. So, anyways, so yeah, so, but the good news is, we don't have to be ashamed of all these things or where we came from or that person we were anymore, because we can die to self. We don't have to be those people anymore. And we aren't those people anymore. That's just something that we went through, I know I battled demons when I was on the streets. I did things, just unimaginable things that there's no other explanation for it, I was just doing crazy things, and I see now those were like demons that I was battling, that Jesus and God freed me from, So it is possible, and we don't have to look at ourselves like that, because that wasn't us. It's not us. It's just things that we went through. And we get to be new creations now, because God's giving us that opportunity and that second chance, or third chance, or 1,000 chance, because that's who He is. So we have that opportunity. We just need to push through it. And if I pray to God that He makes a way, that I establish a big enough platform through mugshot mugs or funding or whatever it takes, even just through Him and Him making the way, I pray that I am able to reach out to these people, have a voice, be bold enough to speak these things, and for people to listen and see and witness my transformation. And that's, at this point, that's all I can do right now, is just speak about it. and hope it reaches their ears, you know, and bring hope to them and be an example, and just keep listening to God and follow His instructions and what He tells me to do, and keep praying for these people. So I hope those of you who also see this are praying too, um, and know that's the biggest tool that we have to help them out there. Um, I made a list of them as I seen them scrolling down recently, that recently booked or whatever, um, on Facebook. Wrote down their names so I can pray for them. I've seen Andres on there. I've seen Evan, Ethan, Felix, Gabriel. Um, so that's just a few of them too. And I know I can't say I know what they're thinking, but I have a pretty good idea, what's going through their mind, and how they see that there's no way out, and this is the only life they know. It's just going to be this constant cycle, and it's not. That's not the truth. It just takes trusting in God and pushing through and relying on Him. So I don't know. I just had that revelation, and I wanted to share that. I don't know if anybody else has gone through this. If anybody else sees people that they were with, in the streets and stuff like that. I know we have to make it to a certain point before we are around anybody like that, and I'm very cautious about that too because of my sobriety and my well-being and my boundaries that I have. Um, but we do make it to that point where we can be those people, and we can go out there and we can shine for them and to show them that they can make it out. Um, Pray for them, and as long as I think we're in far enough along in our recovery where we know that they won't have an influence over us, and we're strong enough to be around it. Um, I think it's important that we do that because God asks us to help others as He has helped us, and so that's what I hope to do. Um, yeah, we do have the authority, and that's why I pray. I'm fasting today actually and praying because I think that's a lot of the issue. Manny, hi Manny, I do. Um, the same too with when we're experiencing spiritual warfare, we got to pray about it. I think it's just something that just takes prayer. I think that is a lot of the situation that's going on the streets. Um, I have dreams about it. Um, Something that comes to my attention, and we do have the authority to cast out demons in the name of Jesus Christ. We do. Miss you too, Manny. I hope you see my post. I posted your mug on there. I hope you're doing really well. Do you feel like you're struggling with that, Manny, right now? I can pray for you too if you want. So, is anybody on here that's experienced these things? Um, I just had this sense that, like these people are around me for a reason, and it was just weird. And now I recognize them. Some of the things that were going on were like familiar spirits, and that's why it seems so strange to me. Um, and those are one of the most common things that we deal with in spiritual warfare is these familiar spirits. And if you're going through these things in spiritual warfare and experiencing these uh, things like addiction and just these hardships and tribulations, it's probably because you're a chosen one. God has a greater purpose for you, and that could be a calling that comes at any point in your life. And usually these things start early in life because the enemy wants to get at us at a young age. And that's through things like addiction. Um, addiction, issues at home, childhood trauma, you know. I'm sure this isn't something that's unheard of if you guys are experiencing this, have gone through this. Um, Pray for it, Manny. You can absolutely do that. Prayer works. And if it's in your heart to do it, you're called to do it. And that's a real thing. That's that's another thing I like about my mugs too, like because it has the photo of like an officer or the person in recovery, and you have that in the morning. Say a prayer for both those people. Prayer for the officer to make good decisions and to have compassion in their heart. So when they have interactions with these people that are on the streets, they have the opportunity to give that person a second chance, or just instill something in their heart to make them want to change. You know, kindness is something that's rare out there, and when somebody shows it to you, it really sticks with you. Emotionally, you remember it, and when you see that other people care, you want to care for yourself. If we have enough people um, that are willing to show compassion, who knows what it might do. It goes a long way. Am I going to make? Yeah, I absolutely will. I'm actually, Manny, I'm waiting on my heat press right now. Should be in by I think it should be in by the 12th of this month. And maybe I could do your recovery story if you'd like. Um, I'm trying to build back up mugshot mugs. But I'm trusting in God and what He's wanting me to do. It's really weird because I'm just in a waiting period right here. So that's why I'm on YouTube and social media, and I'm just seeking Him and praying, and just He's providing. Um, it could seem like discouragement to me because I can't get a job because my background won't pass because I have a break-in and entering charge. Um, but I'm not letting that discourage me or make me think that I'm going to have to go back to the streets or go deal with it, using or anything like that. That's not the answer. I no longer seek that in that way. Like I'm doing tumblers too. This is one of the prototype ones, but I have those I'm going to do too. I have a Facebook group called Recovery and Redemption, and Brute for Bravery. But the Recovery and Redemption, I am posting. I have Tumblr designs on there too for people to pre-order, and that helps fund the nonprofit part and Mugshot Mugs. And hopefully, I'm able to connect with the fire and police department out in Edgewood too, since it's a smaller town. But really, and yeah, in the future, I really hope to, um, you know, make this go wider. Like nationwide, or. Oh, I already have all the materials almost. I'm just waiting on the heat press. Yeah, I just need the heat press because I was using the one that they had at UHC, and so that didn't go with me. So I'm just waiting on the heat press. That's all I need. Otherwise, I have all the materials right now in God's timing, you know. And once I have that, maybe I can reach out to you and get you on the mug. So what I want to do is go like town to town and find recovery homes and the local first responders there and put them, both on the mugs and interact with them and stuff like that, and honor the first responders and encourage them, and so they can see these people that are in recovery, um, you know what the potential is for those who are on the streets or still in addiction. Hopefully that builds compassion in their heart, and you know it kind of renews their hope for people, because they see the worst of the worst, and it probably seems hopeless sometimes. Um, and then I also want to honor those who are in recovery, because it does take a lot to go through that process. It's not easy. Not everybody can break themselves down and build themselves back up, and reflect on things that you've been through, things that you've done, things that you've overcome, trauma that you've been through, and still keep going. And I don't think just any average person can do that, you know. So that's what I want to do. That's the big dream for mugshot mugs, and that's another reason why I'm on here too, because I want to, document the progress and the things that God's doing for mugshot mugs too. Right now, I just came across these people that I knew from the streets, and I just wanted to, pray for them, and I just wanted to hopefully reach out to them and let them know what's going on. See, I know. So I got to recovery place um, that I actually been to once before, and I really stuck with it, even though it was, you know, there was things going on that weren't right in there. Like there's a lot of ministry abuse and stuff like that, but I still stuck with it, trusted God. Um, they provided they partnered with some place called Crossroads that offers help with behavioral health. So that got addressed, and I'm still sticking with that too. And I think that's really important. Uh, so I can explain what helped me, which was God. I know God was the answer this time for sure, because I've gotten sober before and I relapsed, and I understand now, it's because I had unresolved issues. I didn't finish, taking care of things from my past that, crept up, like guilt and stuff like that. And certain behaviors, that I didn't recognize until I was on the streets, actually. That's why I'm thankful for with my time, because that's where I learned why I was doing the things I was doing. Being educated on things goes a long way too. So, and then I left God behind, like I was in Bible studies in jail and stuff like that, and I did some when I got out. But I left him behind, and I ended up relapsing. So I know you got to keep up on it and treat it as, treat it like you're an investment. Your sobriety is important. Um, there's just, it's not just just a simple, just get sober. There's a lot to it, Some of us come from trauma and depression, anxiety, other, you know, um, mental health issues. I can say now, though, I'm not on any medications anymore. I have a Vivitrol shot that really helps, um, and I think taking care of that part first so you can heal um, is something that's really necessary. Uh, and self-care, allow yourself the time to heal. Don't be hard on yourself. So I stuck with this. I stuck with my recovery where I was at. If anything, it taught me to be closer to God. It's not one that I'd necessarily recommend because I feel like it would turn you away from God. Most people, you don't know better. Um, but definitely find one that suits you and one that's going to be supporting and encouraging you. Stick with it and trust in God. Just really, really be on God because that's who's going to get you through it. Um, and yeah, you gotta. Yeah, that's my biggest advice. That's the way you're going to get through it. Trusting in God and don't give up. Find a support system. Take care. Take care of what's in your past, um, and don't let it define you. That's not going to define you. Who you are, God is what matters, and He will make a way. He has a purpose for you. Um, Mine could even just be, speaking about it right now. Who knows? Um, could be greater than that. But I do know God answers prayers, and He will hear you. And the first big step you could do is cry out to God. Cry out to God and ask Him to help you. He's there waiting, and He's probably even guiding us. Maybe while you're ending up in jail and you keep getting caught. It's a blessing. Even that was really hard too. Like I came across some really dirty cops, but I mean, luckily, finally, I was done with it. I was tired. I was out of options. I had been to recovery, and that's what I was saying. Sometimes recovery can seem scarier than being out in the streets um, in those circumstances, which is really sad. Um, but you just got to find the right place. And so I was just done with it. I was like, I surrender, and I just stuck with it. I really applied myself. I focused on God. This is my Bible. This is my recovery Bible, right? I and I have other journals and books and writing to God just to make it through that recovery phase. Um, but it was that process is a lot better than just staying in that cycle on the street. And there's so much potential out there for these people that are just so smart and really honestly some of the best people I know I met on the streets. They give you the shirt off their back, the last dollar in their pocket. Um, some of them do you dirty too, but that's just part of just what it is. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to be like that. You feel grimy when you have to be like that, but that's just what it is. You know, the journal. This is this year's journal. I'm still sticking with that. I stick with God. I'm still seeking Him. I don't let things get me down like the outside world because once once you're doing good, it's gonna feel really weird because you're gonna be attacked. People will bring up your past, or you'll just feel this spiritual warfare about because there's one going on for your soul right now. So once you're doing well, it'll seem like you're not, and people might try to tell you that you're not doing good, but you gotta know the truth and not let that stop you. Don't make any excuses. Don't let anybody else make an excuse for you either. Stick with it and get sober. As the time goes by, it gets easier, and God will help you through it. I really just really, really hope this reaches, people on the streets, anybody, it's kind of like, at one point it was like, a little network out there, we'd run into each other. We didn't usually have phones or anything like that because they get stolen or lost or, whatever. We'd sell them. So, but, eventually you run into each other and see each other. Um, so hopefully this gets around and it inspires and gives understanding, you know, and hopefully it explains a lot. Just surrender, man. Just surrender. Call out to God. That's the first step. And find a good recovery place to go into because you're on the streets. You don't have a support system, nowhere to go. Even if it's not the most ideal situation, as long as they support and encourage you, get into that place. Stick with it. Take care of your behavioral health and the addiction part. I recommend going to through Crossroads. Highly recommend because they're a place of healing. Um, Crossroads Integrative Medicine is what it's called. And it's in the Sims building on Gold. So that's what I highly recommend. That's the place that I know. That's what worked for me. And God, He's God. So to my people that are on the streets in Albuquerque, particularly the UNM area, I see you. I'm praying for you. I know you'll make it out of there. And, God's not a pushy God. You guys have to surrender to Him and invite Him in to help. Sometimes it doesn't seem right away, but He will. Just got to give Him time to work things and trust in Him. It's new, it's hard, especially out of survival mode, but you got to do it. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you hard. You're not forgotten. You're not disqualified. Don't be ashamed of nothing. We all went through it. So, just don't worry about that part of it. Worry about getting yourself well and in a good place for God to heal you. And I know something inside of you is telling you the same thing. And God's talking to you. You just got to pay attention. And I've had visions. I've had dreams. And, I'm interceding. And I'm just praying that you take the calling. Because we were out there together for a reason. I see you for a reason. Andres, you crossed the street right in front of the ministry vehicle I was in at one point on Broadway, if you're listening by chance. And so that wasn't a coincidence, I really battled with this a lot too. Just because of things that went on in the streets, we're all good to each other. But sin is sin. I did bad things too. I can't look at it like that. And, God is loving and He has mercy. And He has mercy on me and He forgave me. So I will do the same. Yep. I hope you guys are seeing this. And anybody that's on here, anybody from Albuquerque, anybody else here from Albuquerque, if not, pray for your people in your city, your town. Pray for everybody that's homeless in the street and in addiction. It's a real thing, real battle they're going through, and they need prayers. They need love, encouragement, and support. Love your neighbor. And don't judge them. God will judge you the same. I'm not here for that. I guess that's all I have, guys. I hope that makes sense. If I have anything else, I'll come back on here. Stay up. Stay in prayer. Keep your faith. And God bless you guys. So I'll just say a prayer. Father God, I thank you for this opportunity to speak about my experience and speak life into other people. I pray it reached the right ears. I pray that people's eyes are open to what's going on. I pray that people have compassion on one another and love their neighbor. I pray everybody comes to seek you and know you as Lord. I thank you, and I ask you to please watch over and protect those who are on the streets. I pray that you guide them to the right places and direct them in the right places, and put it in their hearts and give them discernment and understanding. Open their eyes, God, to what's going on and to you, and bring them to a place of safety and a place to seek you. And I say these things in your son's holy name, Jesus Christ, amen. All right, guys, I'm out of here. God bless you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.